All right, we got the gears going. We got the show on. We got the TV. We got the red light going. My guy Phillips here. You already know what time it is, everybody. What's good, Knicks Nation and Magic Nation? All right, we are here for another Game of the Week preview. We are covering the semifinals of the Emirates NBA Cup, okay? And who do we get? Who do we are blessed to face yet again? The Knicks and the Orlando Magic not do it once, twice, three, but four times. But it feels like a month, man. So that's why we got Philip. My guy Philip is right back here with us today. He covers the Orlando Magic for the Orlando Magic Daily, and he's also the host of Locked On Magic. So make sure to go give him a follow. Come on, people. Let's get hyped, man. Let's get hyped. We're in the semis of the Emirates NBA Cup. Going against what is now, to me, man, it is elevating to be becoming a rival on the season. So make sure to hit that thumbs up button for your boys. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Let's get into this, man. Let's just jump right into this and have this conversation. Philip, welcome back, man. How are you feeling?
I am feeling good. It feels like I'm just making myself at home on the pod here. You know, just feels very comfortable. You know, familiar surroundings. It's great to be with you guys. As always, I promise I will not chuck any basketballs at you.
Hey, well, thank you, because Desmond Bane has shown that this is now not only something he did against the Knicks, but there's a pattern, man. There is certainly a pattern when he gets frustrated, and we'll certainly dive into all that stuff. But Philip, yet again, we are here where we got the Orlando Magic and the New York Knicks facing off yet again, and just from the jump, man, what do you think? Do you think this is a budding rivalry that is, coming about right now?
It definitely is. I mean, this isn't the first year that the Magic and Knicks have had some dust ups and some things happen. If you remember, I think last December, almost a year ago now, the Magic beat the Knicks in Orlando, and Jalen Brunson took a little offense to the way the Magic were celebrating their win, and the Magic were like confused, like, we won, we're celebrating. What do you want us to do? And there's been some stuff bubbling underneath the surface, and obviously in the first two games of the season series this year, the Magic, we talked about this like the last time I was on. The Magic just kind of got under the Knicks' skin a little bit. Their physicality really kind of bugged them and threw them off their game. And so there's definitely something there. And I think we expect the Magic and the Knicks to be competing for a top spot in the Eastern Conference. We expect that at the beginning of the season. I think we expect that now. I think we'll expect that deeper into the season. I wouldn't be surprised if this is a second round or Eastern Conference Finals playoff series. There's definitely something brewing between these two teams. And so friendly rivalry is good. That's you want these kinds of rivalries. And I think that the Magic and Knicks have played some really fun games over the years.
Yeah, well, I agree with you wholeheartedly. The games have been very entertaining. I thoroughly enjoyed the most recent one because we won. So yes, that is obviously how I feel, man. No. But look, I agree with you. I do see this as a budding rivalry. You see the physicality. You do see each team just getting aggravated. And the thing about it too is that it's not spread out, right? Like, these matchups aren't spread out where it's like, oh, we haven't seen these guys for like a few months. We play each other again. Because sometimes, like, it doesn't add to like that playoff type atmosphere. It doesn't add to that, all right, I've seen you enough already. I know what you guys like to do. We know what bothers us, whether it's screen setting, whether it's just the way they run certain actions. It's because of how tight it has been with the scheduling between the Knicks and the Magic, that just adds to the intensity between these two teams. So I'm thoroughly excited to see that. I'm thoroughly excited to see what happens on Saturday, although I am very weary. Let me say that. I'm very weary because, look, Philip, a lot of injuries have taken place over here. First it was Paolo that got injured. Then he returned, and we thought, okay, now we're going to see the Paolo-Franz, tandem. Next thing you know, Franz goes down. McBride goes down that game. So it's like there's just so many bodies flying. We got Cat back, who didn't play that game. So there's a lot going on right now with guys who are going to be in and out of the lineup, and I'm just curious to see what happens. Oh, and Landry Shamet. Let's not forget Landry Shamet. Separated his shoulder not too long ago too, going against the Orlando Magic. So this is why I'm a little weird, because there's too many injuries, man. Too many injuries. But it should be a good matchup nonetheless.
It absolutely should be. And again, like, this is what, you want this in these kinds of games with some stakes. Like, this is I don't know how you feel about the NBA Cup. I am an NBA Cup respecter. when you play a tournament, you want to face the best teams in the league. And the Magic and the Knicks, probably since November 12th, which is kind of when we start chalking the Magic season a little bit. Since that first matchup, the Magic and the Knicks have been two of the best teams in the league. Just plain and simple, full stop. They've been two of the best teams in the league. And so these are two very good teams playing pretty well right now with something on the line. It should make for great basketball. And it is unfortunate that this is the last scheduled game between these two teams, because it would be fun to see these teams in February or March as they're ramping up to the playoffs and not have to wait until a playoff series to see these two teams play again.
Yeah, but you know what? It kind of adds to the lore of it too, right?
Yeah.
Like that we get all of this out of the way right now, because they'll think about the bad blood if they are, fortunate enough to be matched up.
I remember the NBA Cup game last year at Madison Square Garden. I'm sure several players on the Magic do too. There's definitely some history to build on here.
Absolutely. There's a lot of history. And look, I like that it's just, this is kind of a tease, man, because look, as of right now, the Knicks are second in the East, Magic are fourth. So there is a potential that this could be, maybe a second round meetup between these teams. If that's the case, then you're getting a little teaser right now. And whoever loses this matchup, you best believe that if they get, swatted to face each other in the second, third round, right, of the playoffs, they're going to remember this matchup right here. And then it's going to just add to the intensity of that game too. So that's what's even more fun. And look, single game elimination, a lot on the line here. Even though I know some fans and maybe I don't know how other teams and some players feel about it, but there's intensity now. Now that we're in the third year of the NBA Cup, it seems like players are actually starting to get geared up for these type of games because of the single elimination, because it just amplifies the intensity. There's now been two champions that we can go based off of, and it's like, all right, can this even lead to showing who could be potentially an NBA champion if you win this game right now? Because that's the other thing too. Could this add to that lore of like, hey, we won this one. Let's add to what we could potentially do in the postseason.
Yeah, and look, prepare the tournament all you want. Again, like there are things that need to be fixed about it, and I would honestly say like I wish this game were being played at the Kia Center for obvious reasons. But a semifinal game in a team site next year is going to be a lot better, I think, for the fan experience as much as anything else. But there are still things to fix to make this tournament even better. But at the end of the day, there's a trophy, there is money, there is something to compete for, and these are some of the most competitive people in the world. It does not matter that this thing is manufactured. You tell them like, hey, here's a trophy you get if you win. They want to win it. And I don't know how the Knicks feel, but the Magic have kind of said outwardly like, hey, they cared about this thing the last 2 years and they've got progressively better in the tournament over the last years. But the Magic very much said like, no, we want to win the trophy. Like we'll worry about all the extra stuff and all the other stuff later. There's a trophy online. We want to win it. Like you want guys that want to win something even as silly, if you want to call it that, as this tournament.
Do you think that, so you said you wish this game was being played at the Kia Center. Do you wish that the semis were still on a team's home court and then only the finals was in Vegas?
Yeah. Well, so apparently that's what they're doing next year. Just because I just personally think like if you're going to do this game at a neutral site, you need to give fans the opportunity to travel. I think the complaint about the NBA Cup in the first two iterations was that the Vegas crowd was just kind of sterile. When the Lakers won it in the first year, maybe they were a little bit more excited because fans could easily drive from Los Angeles. I'm sure the NBA is kicking themselves that the Lakers didn't beat the Spurs and that the Spurs are there instead of the Lakers. It just feels like if the whole idea of this tournament is to generate excitement and interest in the NBA before Christmas, while football's still going on, I don't think and obviously like the Magic are the top seed. So like, obviously I would benefit from it being in the Kia Center. I'll acknowledge that bias a little bit, but if you want this tournament to like get fan interest and to be interesting and to have these final games, like the culmination of your tournament, be something you want to watch, you need energy in the building. And, I'm eager to see what the energy is going to be like at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, but The last 2 years, it's felt like kind of a quiet crowd. It hasn't really felt super engaging. So again, fans will figure it out. Oh, we can win a trophy. We can win a cup. We can win something. They'll bring the energy. Like, remember that when the Knicks hosted the Hawks, I think 2 years ago in the NBA Cup quarterfinals, how much energy was in the building. And, obviously like Trey played off of that a little bit, but that you need that energy. You want it to feel like a big game. And yeah, neutral site makes it feel a little bit like a big game, but once the game starts and it's kind of quiet and you don't have, if you can't create like fans kind of shouting at each other, which you want at neutral site games, then I just don't think it's effective. And so I think I'll be interested to see. I think next year they are putting the semifinals at the local arenas, and only the final is going to be in Vegas, which I think would benefit a lot of people. Honestly, like I think even delaying the final a little bit to make it a bigger deal. The final is on a Tuesday. I don't like that. I agree.
I don't like that at all.
And I know some of that is just the quirk of the scheduling. The first, like the point I keep making to everybody about the scheduling of this thing was the first year they did this, the final was Saturday night, and it was the first Saturday without college football and the last Saturday before the NFL took over Saturdays. So they had this like perfect weekend to get this thing in and maximize their TV ratings because there's a sports hole that needed to be filled. College football playoff got rid of that. Now that Saturday is filled with football, and the NFL and college football fighting over that Saturday, and so you can't recreate that anymore. So the NBA's got to find a way to, if they're going to put these games at a neutral site, make it an event that you can get fans to, that you can get people to travel to and say like, hey, this is a bowl game. Instead of going to my alma mater's bowl game, which don't matter anymore, let's go see our team play in Vegas or play wherever in the NBA Cup final. Like that's kind of what they need to recreate somehow. And again, you're not doing that on a Tuesday, and the league wants to get it done quick and wants to get it done before Christmas, and not compete with football. And those are concerns that they gotta wrestle with as well.
Yeah, and look, for Knicks fans who are worried that they are not able to get out to Vegas right now, and because it is Saturday and an awkward time for us, or you can't get out there because when they do make it to the finals, man, I'm going to put that energy out there that we're going to beat the Orlando Magic.
Put out there.
When they do make it to the finals, okay, and then hoist up the cup, you want to be there, man. But as of right now, if you can't make it this Saturday, guess what we got going on for you? We got a watch party, man. We got a watch party in Queens, in Astoria to be exact, at Sweet Spot Astoria. All right, so make sure to go over there at 4:30 p.m. when the doors open and get ready to go root for your Knicks with the blue and orange faithful. CP, the Knicks chick, are going to be there. All right, it's going to be a great time. If you haven't been to Sweet Spot, it's a great event. They got the booths, they got food on lock. Great time, man. They got TVs all over the place. You're not going to miss the game, man. You're not going to miss the game. And you're going to have DJ Eric L. Beats on the ones and twos, all right? The resident KFTV DJ, all right? And what's so great about these watch parties? Once the game's on, you're hearing the game. You're not hearing music, none of that. And then once it gets to commercial break, you're going to hear the music. Eric is going to keep you guys rocking. It's going to be a good time. So make sure to get over to Sweet Spot in Astoria, okay? It's located on 31st Street in Astoria. Doors open at 4:30. Make sure to get there, man, to join the orange and blue faithful as we cheer on for the New York Knicks, man, as they face the Orlando Magic. All right, let's get back into it. All right, Philip. Look, we got this game, man. Guys are going to be out. Like I said, no McBride, no Franz. It's just going to be different, man. It's just going to be different from what we've seen so far. What do you expect from the Magic side without Franz? Because in the last matchup, once he went down and he was cooking early, man, he was playing a very efficient game. What do you expect this Magic team to do? Because OG locked down Paolo, and it didn't seem like you guys really had another answer outside of Franz that day.
Yeah, that's going to be the trick. And I look back at that game on Sunday, and it was a much wider margin than a 6-point margin. And I think, frankly, like the Knicks deserved to win. Not sitting here just debating that. I really felt like the Magic were just kind of in a daze the entire game. After Franz went out, it just kind of felt like everyone was a little rattled. Like they fought back. They found some rhythm at certain points, but it just felt like there are just these moments where it's just like, whoa, like what just happened? Well, and of course they didn't know whether Franz was really hurt, was going to be back quickly. No one knew anything. And those 24 hours were really nerve wracking for a lot of Magic fans. I don't think the Magic appreciably changed, though. They're still trying to get to the basket. They're trying to get to the rim. They're trying to put pressure on the rim and do that any way they can. So, whether it's Paolo, whether it's Desmond Bane, whether it's Anthony Black, whether it's Jalen Suggs, they're trying to get to the paint and get to the rim as much as possible. And, I look at that box score from the game against the Knicks, and I believe the Magic still ended up winning points in the paint. And if they did, it was the Knicks by a little bit. There are two big issues in that game. One, the Magic shot 8 for 42 from three. I thought they really settled for 3-pointers in that game. That 42 is a season high in 3-point attempts for them. Again, felt like a little bit of a daze, like they didn't want to attack, like they were trying to figure some stuff out. But I also don't think they shot better than 50% in the paint. I think their points in the paint, whatever it was, they shot worse than 50%. The Magic have to be efficient when they attack the basket. They got to score when they get in the paint, and then they got to use that to set up their outside game. And so, the hope is that, Paolo Banchero was playing his second game since coming back from the groin strain. He'll be a little bit more comfortable, a day of practice, a couple days in between games, kind of getting him back into the rhythm, seeing his minutes bump up. He could be a very different kind of attacker in this game. And then it's just going to be about, getting Desmond Bane going. I think Des was 2 for 12 or, didn't shoot the ball very, very well in Sunday's game. Obviously, he had 37, 6 threes in the game against Miami. Which Desmond Bane are you getting? Because if you get the one against Miami, you have a very good chance to win. If you get the one that you had on Sunday against New York, it's going to be really, really hard for this team.
And I know that's what the Knicks are going to try to do, and they're going to try to slow down the Magic, trying to score in the paint. That's what these guys want to do. And then what I look at from a Knicks perspective when it comes to how you slow down the Orlando Magic outside of the, trying to pack the paint, it's really the last couple of times we've faced off. It's really been the 3-point shooting that's just been impressive. And I know that's just what the Knicks do. They just want to protect the paint. They're going to give up wide open looks from downtown, and the Knicks just really got to get back into that. But I think to curtail that issue is for the Knicks just to lean heavily into their offense in this point. And that's going to be my question going into this one is how are they going to generate not necessarily enough threes, but how are they going to knock down enough threes? Because you don't have Shamet, you don't have Deuce. Clarkson has been kind of erratic at this point. He's been much better attacking the paint than knocking down shots from the perimeter. Of course, Brunson, Bridges, OG, Josh Hart has been very good as of recent, knocking down threes. He's shooting over 44% on over 5 attempts per game from downtown over the last 5 to 10 games. And then we know what Cat can do. So that starting 5 is capable of knocking down threes. Are they going to get enough volume? Because now that you lost 2 guys who add to that volume, where are you going to get that from? And I just don't see that happening with Tyler Kolek. Yeah, Yabu can put up some threes, but I think in this matchup, the Knicks are really going to have to rely heavily on their accuracy from downtown if they're really going to make the Magic just helter skelter on defense. Just because they've kind of played into what the Magic want, which is just to feel what it feels like. All right, we're going to contest your threes and we're going to force you to drive into the paint and we're going to wall everything off in the paint. But that's just because you got a lot of athletic, lanky defenders that can cause that type of havoc. But I think for the Knicks in this one, I think their best defense is actually going to be leaning into their offense, which is what we saw the last time they faced off, and that's why the Knicks were able to win. Obviously, Franz goes out, but we lost McBride. We didn't have Cat that game, so it felt pretty even. But what the Knicks really did was just lean into their offense, and they were able to kick things off and really put them away.
Yeah, and look, any single elimination game comes down to one thing: making and missing shots. Like plain and simple. I hate to reduce everything down to one thing. And look, the Magic are going to do a good job keeping New York from getting 3-point attempts. I believe the Magic are first or second in fewest 3-point attempts allowed. They're top 5 for sure. I don't know what they are. They'll give up a decent percentage, but you don't get a lot of 3-point opportunities against Orlando. And so games like this against elite teams, and I think we can say New York and Orlando, at least in the Eastern Conference, are elite teams. Games like this come down to little things. Did you dig out that key offensive rebound and get a second chance point? The Knicks are obviously one of the best offensive rebounding teams in the league. Orlando, I think, beat them 17-16 on offensive rebounds, or it was essentially both teams kind of broke even on offensive rebounds in the game on Sunday. The Magic are going to get their share of offensive rebounds, and who converts on those. It's finding those hidden possessions, and especially coming off of offensive rebounds, especially coming off turnovers, especially in transition, making those open threes, making those shots when you get them. I felt again, Orlando went 8 for 42 from three on Sunday. I felt there were so many opportunities for the Magic to get back into that game. They give up the 13-0 run to start the second half. They're down 15, 12 points somewhere in there. And it felt like every time the Magic were building some momentum, they'd get an open three and they would just miss it. And that's your ball game. Like that's the kind of stuff that's going to determine the game for either team. Making some shots, converting off second chance points, finding those hidden possessions, winning those little hustle battles that don't always show up on a box score. That's the difference between these two teams. And, Orlando is going to be physical, and New York, responded to that well, I thought, on Sunday in a way that they didn't in the first two meetings.
Mm-hmm.
Orlando, again, I felt like Orlando was in a daze after the injury. So I think that knocked them a little bit off kilter, just on its own. Again, New York deserved to win the game. Not arguing that. How New York responds to the physicality and whether they answer back, punch back in some instances, that's going to be as key as anything in this game. So it's going to be about hidden possessions, because these are two really good teams that are pretty even and pretty close. It's about those little things that determine these games.
Yeah, it comes down to the little things that you talk about. It's who's getting those critical rebounds, which, that's what we've seen these games come down to. It's good. This matchup really comes down to who's willing to out hustle the other team.
Yep.
Because look, we can even go to the most recent game. Magic shot 29% from downtown. Knicks shot 31% from downtown. It was not a pretty game. Now the Knicks did shoot better from the field, 43% from against the Magic, who shot 38%. The big thing that it came down to was free throws in the end. Knicks shot 85% while the Magic shot 67%, and the Magic got slightly more free throw attempts, 24-20. But it's stuff like that you talk about. And if you want to go even to this game, Knicks won the rebounding battle 52-48. That was the most recent one on Sunday. Now, I know the score looks like, oh, wow, this is a close one. Well, we had that little weird ending where that third unit decides to come out there and say, you know what, man, we're gonna try to win this one.
It was mildly amusing that Mike Brown had to put Jalen Brunson in the starters bracket. As a Magic fan, it was
for you.
It was
yes, I'm
mildly amusing. I was just like, man, I cannot believe they forced him to put Jalen Brunson back in this game. Like it was a fake comeback. I'm not going to pretend otherwise, but it was just like, man, they scared him a little bit.
Hey, each win matters, man. Each win matters.
Hey, they all count the same. They all count the same.
And look, in this matchup, this game will add to their season.
It's a regular season game.
Yeah, the season record, right? So the Magic currently lead 2-1 right now. You never know how it's going to end.
Yep, the tiebreaker could be important, which brings up the interesting thing about this game. The Knicks unbeatable at home except for that one game against Orlando. 500 on the road. This is a neutral site game. Are they going to be fine outside the Garden? What's going on? Why can't this team win outside the Garden?
I think it's just them getting comfortable, honestly.
Okay.
To me, I'm not reading too much into that right now. Yeah, they're doing a great job at defending home court. The whole they can't win on the road type stuff. Look, certain teams just play better. I think in this case, since we've been playing you guys the most, it's a really good team. So we played. It's like, hey, man, this is going to happen.
I'm not complaining. The Magic have had the third hardest schedule in the league by strength of schedule on ESPN right now. They've played 18 games against teams with records above 500, which is the most in the league. Like the Magic have had some difficult games this season, and of course, advancing in the NBA Cup only makes it harder.
And look, I know that we've only played the Magic once on the road, but still, it's like you guys also gave us our first loss at home.
Yep.
So, look, it's a good team. We faced some good teams. Like we lost to the Celtics on their home court. I'm not making Miami's doing well this season. We lost to them on their home court. They're another good team. Bulls started off hot, so we lost on their court. We lost to the Bucks when they had Giannis. It was early in the season. We lost on their court. So it's like I'm not reading too much into this, man. Like most of our losses came against good teams. It's like, all right, and they came down to wire type plays. Like outside of what the Bulls won 135 to 125, Bucks won 121 to 111. Heat, when they won both their games, was 115 to 107. Second time they won was 115 to 113. Like these are games that we're talking about. Like we're talking about minimal differences. Now the Celtics one is one that, in my opinion, is a little misleading. It says that we lost 123 to 117, but the Celtics were, handing it to us. Brunson had a terrible night that game, and then Mikal Bridges decided to go nuclear. But for the most part, I think for the Knicks, I'm not too worried about them not winning on the road. I think it's just once again them being comfortable playing in other arenas, and then you know, early on in the season, it's like guys are still trying to figure out each other and like where they fit on this roster. So I'm not making too much of it. I'm not too worried about the neutral site either. I think the Knicks will be just fine, Philip. I think they'll be just
Okay.
fine. But hey, big thing that I'm looking at, I know we know what each team's strengths and weaknesses are. I'm looking at the big key matchup, man. Which is, Paolo Banchero going against OG Anunoby. Now, for this past matchup, OG had him in jail, man.
Yep.
Paolo shot what, like 4 of 11 from the field. Like he had like a
It was a rough
terrible
night.
outing. It was a rough night for him. OG did the damn thing, and I think that was his second game back. That was his second game back because he returned against Utah. But in his second game back, not only did he clamp up Paolo, but he also got back on the offensive side because he struggled a little bit against Utah. He put up 21 points, 8 of 14 from the field, 5 of 7 from downtown, got 7 boards, 3 steals. He was just in his bag against the Magic, and I'm looking at this key matchup because since you're not going to have Franz, I know OG's going to guard Paolo. Paolo struggled last game, and so for this one to be close, you're going to need a good game from Paolo. But I think OG's going to go out there and just cause mayhem once again.
Yeah, and look, Paolo is a star player, and you see this with Jalen Brunson. Like there's no containing him. It's about kind of controlling him enough and wearing him down to the end of the game. With Paolo right now, Paolo is still working his way back from the groin injury. And, it's very, very clear he's just kind of a step off. And look, that for Paolo, it was his second game back. He's been trying to kind of ease his way in, trying to fit in with the team. Like, there's all these questions about, are the Magic better without Paolo? The ball is just moving faster. And if you watch Paolo play, he is trying to move a lot faster. He's slowing the ball. He's stalling the ball less. He's kind of moving the ball quicker if there isn't a room to attack. That I think in that game, like it definitely felt like Paolo was still getting comfortable and still kind of figuring his way out. And so we're still seeing him ease his way back into the lineup. Like it hasn't been I'm going to hit the ground running. Now with Franz out, like, yes, the Magic need Paolo to be Paolo. They need him to be a more dominant player and to make a bigger impact. And if the Magic are going to win this game, if the Magic are going to win this cup, they need superstar Paolo Banchero. And the question is, how quickly can he get to that gear? And obviously you're doing it against a really good defender in OG Anunoby. Like with Jalen Brunson and Jalen Suggs, Paolo's going to get his shots in. He's going to win his battles. OG's just got to win the war. And that'll be the big question, is whether Paolo can win that war in the end. And by that, I mean, can he use the attention he's going to get? Can he get New York to commit a second defender to him, to get open shots for Jalen, for Wendell Carter, for Desmond Bane, for Anthony Black, for whoever it is, for Tristan Da Silva when he's in? Can he get them? Can he get the attention to get them open shots? That's probably more important than his field goal percentage or how many points he scores, because he's going to get the points. That's not the concern.
So you're not concerned whatsoever that Paolo will get the points against OG.
I think he'll get somewhere around 20 points, probably like low 20s. Like he's just still ramping up. It's very clear he's still ramping up. The question is he going to need 21 shots to get there? Is he going to need 14 shots to get there? Is he going to have 4 or 5 assists? Is he going to have 3 or 4 turnovers? I'm less concerned about, as a Magic fan, I'm less concerned about how much Paolo's going to score and more about that other stuff. Is he moving the ball? Is he not committing turnovers? Is he scoring efficiently? And to me, that's far more important at this stage than saying, oh, Paolo got 35. And, if he gets 35, things are probably going really well. But, oh, he got 35. Like that's less important to me than saying, like, is he attacking quicker? Is the defense reacting to him? Is he getting to the foul line? That's a huge thing for him. Is he averaged, before his injury, he's averaging 9 free throw attempts per game. Like he's he is a huge force in why the Magic are leading the league in free throw attempts the season. He's got to get to the line and be aggressive in that sense as well, and that probably matters a lot more than anything else.
And I just like obviously OG's going to make that
Yeah, he's gonna make it hard.
difficult for him. So that's where you got to start looking at the other guys. Who then is your other key guys that you're looking to help? Because if Paul's going to have a difficult time just getting to his spots against OG, then who are you looking for on this team to help Paolo kind of get the clear looks?
Yeah, I mean it's Desmond Bane. Like Desmond Bane had 37 against the Heat, and he's the secondary attacker right now. He is the guy that's trying to get downhill and get to the basket. He plays really well off of Wendell Carter in screens and handoff actions. Desmond Bane is the guy the Magic need to average around 20 points per game to support and if need be, take over games. What was so great about what was so kind of revelatory about the game against Miami was the Magic finally got a big 3-point burst from Desmond Bane. He had 37 against the Pistons, didn't make a three in that game. He hasn't had the 6-for-9 3-point shooting game that he had on Tuesday yet this season, which is the exact reason why the Magic got him, because they know he can take 7-8 threes per game, which he hasn't been doing this year. But they wanted a guy who could take 9-10 threes and make 5, 6, 7 of them, just have this scoring binge that wins you a basketball game. That's something the Magic will need more of. And look, they got some other shooters like Jalen Suggs can get his shots up. Wendell Carter's going to get his shots up. There's no stat more correlating to the Magic's victories than Anthony Black's 3-point shooting. There are other players, but Desmond Bane is the guy they brought in to do all that. And with Franz out, they're going to need Desmond Bane to be an aggressive secondary scorer.
And to go against Desmond Bane, that's where I'm looking at Josh Hart, just because the physicality. I'm going to look at Josh Hart's strength. I'm sure Mikal is going to get his chances as well against Desmond Bane, just to utilize his wingspan, just to throw him off a bit. But I'm looking at Josh Hart to go out there, use his physicality, and just be that pest as well, man. And Josh has been doing a really good job defensively. He's not going to be the defensive stalwart that just locks guys down, but his effort is always there just to cause chaos and mayhem. And offensively, I've talked about it, man, but Josh Hart has been shooting the ball so well this season, just so well. Let me just pull up the last 10 games so that way you can get an idea of what Josh Hart has been doing on the season so far. If NBA.com would just load this thing, man.
Always takes forever.
Always takes forever. Here we go. All right. So here we go with Josh Hart's stats through the last 10 games. He is averaging 16 points within 35 minutes, and he is shooting 55% from the field and 42% from downtown. As I mentioned earlier, that's off of 5 3-pointers per game. He's getting 9 boards, averaging over 5 assists, closing on 2 steals. He's doing everything that you need out of him. And so when I look at him against Desmond Bane in this matchup, Desmond Bane's going to have to play defense too. So he's going to have to work and be that, two-way player in this one, which, if you're going to be relying on him to create opportunities for Paolo in this one, may get taxing, especially since you can't leave Josh Hart open anymore. That's the one thing that they were doing, right? They would throw a center onto him and just see, hey, we dare you to shoot. And then Josh would, pump fake, be indecisive. Does he want to shoot? Most likely will drive and try to kick out, but that's exactly playing into the hand of what they want. If the Magic try to do that now, then by all means, I'll ask for that, because he'll just punish you, man. He'll just punish you. Like last game against the Raptors, nine quick points in the third quarter because they were leaving him wide open. So Desmond Bane's going to have a tough time as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, that's what happens when you're playing good teams. They have multiple weapons. They have few weaknesses. You got to make compromises somewhere. And maybe that's the compromise. Maybe it's that night, Josh Hart has been a streaky shooter his entire career. Who knows? It could be that night, whatever. It's again, I mentioned earlier, it sounds simple. It sounds too simple. This game's going to come down to who makes shots. Desmond Bane shoots 2 for 10. Doesn't matter what else the Magic do. Anthony Black is 1 for 6 from 3. If Jalen Suggs is 2 for 7 or 1 for 8, whatever it is, it's going to be real hard to win. Got to make shots in this game to win.
Yeah, and you talk about compromises, man. No one wants to make compromises, man. And ladies and gentlemen, you shouldn't make compromises either. So the holiday season is here, and Manscaped has officially checked into the game. All right. Let me tell you something. If you're trying to give that gift of smoothness this year to yourself or somebody else, the Performance Package 5.0 Ultra is the MVP of grooming. We're talking an all-in-one kit that handles everything from the baseline to the perimeter. First up, the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. Precise, smooth, reliable. This thing keeps you looking sharp whether it's game day, date night, or just a random Tuesday. Helps reduce nicks, helps reduce the risk of grooming accidents, keeps you confident and in control. Then off the bench, we got the Weed Whacker 3.0, taking care of ear, nose, eyebrow hairs. All that little wild cards on your face that life throws at you, man. You just got to get rid of it. So clean it up, keep it polished, stay ready for every occasion. And the Aftercare Duo, Crop Soother and Crop Preserver. Look, treat yourself like a franchise player. Stay fresh, stay comfortable, stay confident. Plus, Manscaped is throwing in free gifts. Boxers 2.0 Midnight Bravo and the Shed 2.0 toiletry bag, an instant upgrade to the starting lineup. So do the right thing this holiday season. Give the gift of smooth. Get 15% off plus free shipping with code KFTV at manscaped.com. That's 15% off plus free shipping at manscaped.com with code KFTV. Because nothing says I care like keeping the fundamentals tight. All right. Let's keep this thing rolling. Shout out to all of our franchise channel members in here. I see Mellow Mike in here. Appreciate you, Mellow Mike, for being in here as always. I see PMCG9392. Shout out to you as well. I know Zach is in here. Shout out to you, Zach. Appreciate all you guys for tapping in as always. Look, man, we're trying to get ready for the New York Knicks facing off against the Orlando Magic in Las Vegas. Oh, I see my guy John Talento in here. Never misses a show. Shout out to you. We got Flo 1742. As Gomez, appreciate you as well. And there's CP in the chat as well, causing chaos. Appreciate you, CP. Oh, and we got a super chat. Shout out to Melon Mike 7. Two all Knick fans show up to the KFTV watch party. Let's go Knicks. Oh, to all Knicks fans show up to the KFTV watch party. Let's go Knicks. Yes, man. Gotta show up, man. Gotta show up. Appreciate you, Melon Mike, for the $2 super chat. Absolutely. All right, let's keep this thing rolling. All right, so talked about Josh Hart versus Desmond Bane. Talked about OG versus Paolo. What other matchups are you looking in this one, Philip? Like who are you expecting to be the next guy? You know, better yet, let's just get to where I always go through. Who's your X factor? Who's your X factor for the Orlando Magic?
I mean, like, I think the X factor is Jalen Suggs. You know, like he's gonna have the primary job on Jalen Brunson. So how he performs there, and look, Brunson's gonna get his 30. That's just how it is. It's whether you're making Brunson work for that 30 or whether he's, you know, getting gifted some shots at the foul line, you know, just working his way to the foul line. You know, it's that tug and pull. But I think getting Jalen Suggs going from three is huge for this team. You know, he is kind of this swing player from three. And you look at, you know, we talk about the Knicks splits home and road. Jalen Suggs splits home and road are also pretty wild. Like he's this unbeatable shooter at home and can't make a three to save his life on the road. So it'll be interesting to see whether that translates to the T-Mobile Arena or T-Mobile Center in Vegas, whether he shows up. You know, this is the kind of game that like Jalen Suggs lived for in college and made his name for in Gonzaga. It's the kind of games that he talks a lot about wanting to be in and wanting to be involved in. He has a decent playoff record, you know, as much as everyone likes to talk about Franz and his 2 for 15 performance in Game 7 against the Cavs in 2024, Jalen Suggs was also like 2 for 7, 2 for 8 in that game as well. He really struggled in that game. Jalen Suggs is just a swing factor for the Magic. If he gets to 20 points, it's more likely than not the Magic are going to win. I think he had 20 in the game on Tuesday. If he's making his threes and just deploying his chaos in the right way on defense, the Magic become a team that you believe can win some very, very big things this year. So Jalen Suggs has got to be measured, composed, smart against Jalen Brunson, and do his best to wear him down while also still finding ways to contribute offensively, whether that's pushing the pace, making threes, or hitting is pretty consistent in between mid-range shots.
Okay, so you're going with Jalen Suggs, and that makes sense, man. He's going to have, as you mentioned, the tough assignment, and he's got to be, a plus on offense as well. So very curious to see how he performs, as you mentioned,
Yeah.
because I
Brunson's
mean,
gotten him a few times.
Brunson has gotten him for sure. But I'm just curious to see how he performs in Vegas, just because you talked about those drastic shooting splits, man. I mean, that is quite I mean, would you say so? Where do you land on Suggs? Is he just a is he a high end role player? Where do you how do you look at Suggs?
You know, it's it's hard to say because like his offense has come such a long way. And I think offensively, he has to be in the absolute right role. And like being a third guy or fourth guy in your offense is probably the right role for him. He does so many things like just spiritually for this team, as far as he just brings so much energy on the defensive end. Like sometimes he is too aggressive. Sometimes he's trying to do too much. Sometimes he's just a little out of control. And he's got to be the one to reel himself in and find the right balance between chaos and just playing smart. Like he'll just be he'll have moments in the games where he's just overzealous going for steals and commits 2 fouls really quickly. And now you're like, well, thankfully you have Anthony Black who can guard guys, but now you got to now you got to try and really rein back Suggs. So it's always been about balance with him and finding the right things. And I don't think we know what the story is with him because just because like we got to see it in the playoffs. We got to see whether he's the reason why you advance to the playoffs or whether his brand of chaos is what's ultimately holding you back.
Hmm. Interesting. Okay. Very curious, man.
Those shooting splits, by the way, at home, Jalen Suggs shoots 40.5% from three. He's 32 for 79. On the road, he shoots 19.5%, 8 for 41. So huge splits.
That's a huge swing. Very curious to see how he performs at a neutral site. So that's your X factor. My X factor is going to be Jordan Clarkson. And the reason being because, look, when you don't have McBride, when you don't have Shamet, someone's got to keep that bench afloat at this point. And some may say, hey, Alex, you use Jordan Clarkson a lot as your X factor, even when these guys were healthy. Well, I'm using him now more so than ever because, look, Josh Hart, I know that we like to say that he's the X factor, but he's doing his job, man. He is like performing regular on a single base. I feel like an X factor is a guy who is somebody that you don't know what you're going to get from on any given night. Jordan Clarkson is that type of guy. And so offensively, we know he's slowing down a bit, but we really need him in this matchup just because we can't rely on just a starting five just to get it done. Because not saying it's too much pressure, that's what they're supposed to do. But you're gonna need when they're on the bench and you got somebody like Clarkson out there, he has to at least relieve them for a little bit so that way it's not them constantly having to work and to score because you want to save those guys for the fourth quarter when things are going to be, potentially tight. So I'm looking at Jordan Clarkson right now. And, over the last couple of games, hasn't really been shooting the ball that great. And just pulling up his numbers right here through the last 10 games right now, he's just been pretty ice cold. In the 23 minutes that he's playing, he's shooting 38% from the field, and he's shooting 21% from downtown with about 4 attempts per game. Now, the good thing about Clarkson is that I think he's still been a little bit controlled, even though he isn't doing what he's supposed to be doing, which is being that, like that scorer. He is being a playmaker at least, though. Now, it isn't always connecting with the guys making the shots, but he is trying to make the right reads and find the open guys. So that's the other part of his game too, which is why Mike Brown continues to give him so many opportunities to do, to go out there and work through these shooting woes, is because he's still another playmaker, another guy that can break down the defense, because without him, it's just Brunson. So look, I'm looking for Clarkson just to go out there, and he's got to be, he has to show up this one and just get some offense going, just to help the Knicks in this one.
Yeah. And look, I think usually in games like this, there is someone you don't expect that has a surprisingly big game. So it could be Jordan Clarkson kind of having that breakthrough. In Sunday's game, it was Guerschon Yabusele with 8 points in that game.
Mm-hmm.
It could, and it doesn't have to be like a huge scoring. It's just like, it's just some unexpected spark from somewhere. So for the Magic, it could be, Goga Batadze has a 10-7 game and is able to kind of do his thing in the paint, even against Mitchell Robinson. It could be, the Magic turn to Jet Howard and he bangs a couple threes that flips some momentum. It could be, Anthony Black has a, 4 for 6 3-point shooting game, and that's enough to flip things. So there's going to be something you don't expect in a game like this, that kind of changes momentum or gives a lift where you're not expecting it.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, for when it comes to changing momentum, man, let me tell you something. How you wake up the next day after a night out can really change the momentum of how you accomplish it. And so, people, the holidays are here, which means gatherings, dinners, celebrations, and for a lot of us, a couple of drinks. But we all still have things to do the next morning. Workouts, errands, work, family commitments. That's why I use Z-Biotics pre-alcohol probiotic drink. This is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic designed by PhD scientists. Here's the science. When you drink, your body creates an unwanted byproduct in the gut. Z-Biotics is engineered to break that byproduct down so you can wake up feeling good and ready to go. Just make it your first drink of the night. Take care of yourself, hydrate, and you're setting yourself up for a better tomorrow. I used it before a recent night out, and the next morning I was up early, got my workout in, got work done, no issues. Made a noticeable difference. So if you want to feel your best during the busiest time of year, grab some Z-Biotics. Go to zbiotics.com/KFTV and use code KFTV for 15% off your first order. That's zbiotics.com/KFTV. Make the most of every toast this holiday season. Just don't forget Z-Biotics. All right, Philip. A few more things and then we'll wrap this show up. So we went through our X factors. We went through some key guys. What's the energy? I mean, what do you think this energy is going to be between both these teams right now, man? Just walking.
I mean, I think it's going to be a little testy. Like, it wouldn't shock me if there's a pull apart at some point. I think the Magic know that they can get under New York's skin a little bit. They've done it before. And so I think Orlando's going to come out physical. It wouldn't shock me if like the Knicks are in the bonus, not early, but like 4 or 5 minutes left, like 4 minutes left in the first quarter. I think the Magic are going to try very hard to set a physical tone right off the bat. And, New York's going to either do what they did kind of in the first 2 games, or they wilted a little bit, or they're going to stand their ground and it's going to be a little bit of a fight. It's going to be a little bit of a brawl, not literally, but it's going to be, this is a game where the Magic are going to try and bully New York a little bit. And how New York responds to that, because they didn't respond well to it in the first 2 games, how New York responds to that and continues to execute is going to be a big determining factor in this game. And Orlando can't get sucked into just being pure bullies. They got to still make shots. They still got to execute. But it's going to be a game where I think the Magic are going to try and literally punch New York in the mouth in some respects. And how New York responds is going to determine what kind of game it is.
Yeah, I could see that unfolding as well. And look, I know though, especially when you start to see the theatrics and what Desmond Bane did last game, that's still going to be. Now I get it that OG Bane, they all dapped up and everything was all fine. All these guys were laughing and the butts. Everyone's all happy and chatting after that incident. But you still got to think that, as you mentioned, that things are going to get a little testy out there, and we're going to see, who's going to take each other out of the game, whether it's playing physical, whether it's just making shots. And that was the thing, right? Knicks were making their shots, and it took the Magic out of their game because they weren't making shots. So then they started to get frustrated. So in this one, you talk about how the Magic got to get, under the Knicks' skin just by being physical. Knicks just got to keep their composure.
Yep.
It's just battling their physicality and then continue to make shots and play their game and not get sucked into the whole drama outside of the game, right? So it's going to be an interesting matchup. It's going to be an interesting time for these teams, just because I'm so curious to see how everyone responds after the Desmond Bane thing. I got to get your thoughts on that one, man. Like, what did you think when you saw that? Because that's just like, what are we doing?
I laughed. I was just like, what are you doing? I was literally like, what are you doing, Des? And like, even the Magic broadcast, which the Magic broadcast is pretty neutral. It's not so homery, but they are definitely homer still. They were trying to say like, well, I guess he was losing balance, and it was just like, no,
losing balance.
He had 2 feet planted on the ground, reared up like he was getting ready to pitch to home plate, and chucked that ball straight at OG Anunoby. And there's no excuse for that. Dez deserved that technical foul. Probably should have gotten a little bit more. If OG would have reacted a little bit more like what that like more like in his face, Dez might have gotten ejected. And maybe that's something OG needs to be better about, is overreacting to stuff like that. But yeah, no, that was dumb. You know, I thought the Okongwu one, if it was intentional, was hidden a lot better. This was very, very clearly, I'm just gonna chuck the ball at this guy and see if we can rattle them a little bit and see if that'll spark us, because I'm gonna get someone to get in my face and create a pull apart situation. And it was just like, there's no need for that. It was dumb. It was hilarious. At that point in the game, it was just like, the Magic aren't winning. Why are we doing this? Like, let's just get this over with and get home.
And what's funny is that Bane did talk about the $36,000 fine and says, you know, now he wants to win this because he got to make some money back, which I think it's funny just to make light of the situation. But hey, man, I was like, what?
You had to be laughing too. Like, it was just objectively
I was just
hilarious.
like, I was just so confused. Like, dude, like, what's more confusing is that he had an opportunity to get the ball. OG's on the ground, and you could have gotten out in transition, potentially gotten a bucket. Really brought this thing back even closer to what it was at that point. But instead, you decide to say, "F this," and I'm just gonna go like into my own world and be frustrated with what's happening right now. And to me, I was just.
It was hilarious.
I was chuckling. I was like, yo, what is going on?
Everyone says they want the 90s back, and then stuff like this happens.
Is this even 90s? Like 90s?
No.
Like 90s, like you're throwing a fist.
If this were the 90s, there would have been a full fight.
That's what I'm saying. Like someone's throwing a fist.
You would have had to peel Jeff Van Gundy off of someone's leg if that had happened in the 90s.
I mean, we saw Malice in the Palace. I mean, you saw like guys are jumping into the stands. Like this, I'm like, this is
that was over a cup being thrown at someone too. Like that was nothing.
Yeah. So like that's what I'm saying, man. Like in these like
it was dumb.
It was weak.
It was dumb.
It was absolutely
dumb. I have no excuse for it. It's Dez does this. He's, you know, Desmond Bane, the rap on him his entire career is that he is too small. His arms are too short. Like he's nicknamed the T-Rex because his arms are really kind of small. His wingspan's kind of small. He has a little bit of that. I'm the small dog, so I gotta puff my chest out and act big. And that serves him really well in a lot of ways. But like, this is the thing the Magic still have to be wary about is they like to poke, they like to prod, but you can't cross a line. There's a line that you can't cross. And you just got to find the balance between focusing your attention on that and focusing your attention on actually playing basketball and doing what you need to do to win. And obviously Sunday, like they missed that line. They didn't have that balance right. I think some of it was the Franz injury. Again, I think they played a lot of that game in a daze. They didn't get it right on Sunday, and obviously something silly happened because of it.
Well, I know that for sure both teams are going to come correct for Saturday at 5:30 p.m. So I'll be looking forward to seeing how this game unfolds. Philip, I appreciate you coming through and breaking this game down with me. Please let the listeners know where they can find you. If you got any work up and coming, we should be on the lookout for.
Yeah, the best place to find my written work is over at OrlandoMagicDaily.com, right there every single day. So I'll have complete coverage of the Magic side of things on that website. You can check out my podcast, Locked On Magic. We are 5 days a week. I'll also be broadcasting after the game on Saturday. So I'll have a complete recap of that game from the Magic perspective as well, if you want to check that out too.
Well, appreciate you once again. This is Philip Rossman Reich. He covers the Orlando Magic for the Orlando Magic Daily, and he's also the host of Locked On Magic. So make sure to give him a follow there. Hit that thumbs up button for your boys. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Appreciate you all for tuning in for another Game of the Week preview. We got the New York Knicks facing the Orlando Magic on Saturday at 5:30 p.m. And people, remember, there is a watch party happening this Saturday at Sweet Spot in Astoria on 31st Street. So make sure to get over there because the doors open at 4:30 p.m. It's a great spot, great food, TVs all over the place. You got comfortable booths. There's not a bad spot in the house just to watch this game. So make sure to go over there. CP, the Knicks chick, they're going to be out there. DJ Eric L. Beats, the resident KFTV DJ, is going to be there keeping you rocking. So make sure to go show up and show out to support not only KFTV, man, but to go out and show support for your Knicks, man. Let's do it because guess what? It is SantaCon. this weekend. So you know Manhattan's gonna be crazy. So get out of that. All right, we don't need none of that. Go over to Astoria. Go hang out with everybody. Go watch the Knicks, man, as they take on the Orlando Magic. So once again, appreciate you all for tuning in. And remember, everybody, support our sponsor. Remember to support ZBiotics. Go to zbiotics.com/KFTV and use that promo code KFTV for up to 50% your first order. Also, remember, go to manscaped.com, okay? You can go get the Performance Package 5.0, and that could be just for you. Could be a great gift. But make sure to go over there. Use that promo code KFTV, get up to 15% off, plus free shipping. And guys, you're all set, all right? You guys will be all set for this weekend. Shout out to all our franchise channel members once again. I see you in here, Kyle. Appreciate you for tapping on in. And make sure to follow the newsletter too, okay? The newsletter's great. Got a lot of great written content over there. Everyone's doing the damn thing over there. Also keeps you up to date about merch, other sponsors, and what's going on with the channel as well. All right, so make sure to go subscribe to the newsletter if you haven't done that already. And all right, everyone, we'll catch you later. We out.